Talking with the Chief Minister, it's really more of a catch-up on things that have happened over the summer on this section. I don't know what you can say about the Attorney General, because I mean he's still getting paid, still outstanding. This whole messy procedure that's gone on, you can't be happy, surely.
It's something I can't really comment on because the Attorney General is a Crown appointee. It's not appointed by government. It's absolutely vital that the politicians stay quite separate from the judicial process. It's critical that that separation continues. And so the progress which is being made has to be made outside of my timetable as Chief Minister.
But full pay going on like that, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
It is a lot of money, but we are tied into a system which has been in place for many, many years and does apply to other arms of government as well. We have to work, though, through the Ministry of Justice, and because it's a Crown appointment, we have to work through the Palace. It's not easy for us to try and force the pace on something that, frankly, we have no final responsibility for. Sadly, the one thing we do have responsibility for is paying the bill. And,
like Douglas East, for instance, another one there, massive bill, over £1 million in advocates, lawyers, you name it.
I have a real concern about legal aid at the moment, and I know we have a group looking at it. I think legal aid has to be made available to those legitimately who cannot afford the requisite level of legal representation. That's fine, but what we're finding, or what I'm believing anyway, is there are many people on very low incomes, maybe not the lowest income, but very low income, who are denied legal aid in what I would see as quite legitimate cases. They're being denied, whilst we see some high-profile cases where legal aid running into millions is being approved. Now, that cannot be right, and I'm hoping that the work that will be done and is being done at the moment will rectify that in the near future. But for the time being, we have to work with a system that we've inherited. But I have to say, I share everybody's concern that now the balance has swung too far. We've got to find a better way of dealing with this.
Okay. Other things, Blackpool Airport closing, is that a blow for the island again?
Yes, it's not a huge area of business for the Isle of Man, but I understand it's something like 40,000 passengers a year, so it's quite a hefty number. We have a long history with Blackpool Airport, and of course with Blackpool it's Lancashire, it's the northwest as well, it's another outlet. I'm aware City Wing now have had detailed discussions with the Blackpool authorities this week to see if there is another way of keeping it going. We'll be watching that very carefully.
Well, Mr. Skelly said he's going to help out. I mean, what's that mean? Money coming from the Isle of Man government?
Well, we have to be careful about making comments like that because Isle of Man government is tied by European legislation in terms of state aid and the amount of support we can give to airlines. Now, whether that means that it applies to airports as well remains to be seen.
Well, Guernsey owns an airline.
Guernsey owns
Really?
yes, they own the airline though, and that's it. If we owned the airline, in some cases, if we'd owned Flybe, for example, we probably would have been able to give more assistance to it. But don't forget, we still are in very difficult times financially, and we don't have that much money to splash out on some of these things.
I've now to know there. I mean, could you actually help Blackpool Airport out?
I honestly don't know. Work is going on as we speak on this. I don't know what the full financial impact is. I don't know what on the debts or whatever terms the airport either would be sold or leased on to someone else, and whether it would be appropriate for the Isle of Man to do that. There's a lot of questions still being asked on that front. But it is a blow. I know there's a lot of local people use Blackpool on a fairly regular basis. It's been long established route for the island, and we're very, very sad to see what's happened. But the other thing we need to be, and I'm sure we are all conscious of, is the airline business is a very volatile business, and a lot of small regional airports have actually gone out of business over the last few years because there is a move towards more centralised hubs, and Blackpool isn't that far away from Manchester and Liverpool.
And there's a fair bit of criticism about just Ronaldsway, about the levels of salaries maybe some people are getting, the amount of people that work there and how much money it's costing the government slash
Yeah.
the taxpayers?
Well, we are looking at that at the moment. The Department of Infrastructure is reviewing all its activities, and we're right in the middle of it as we speak. The airport, the structure of the airport, all that is very much under the spotlight. There are some very high paid staff there, well ahead of what their counterparts in the UK or elsewhere might be getting. We have to see whether that's appropriate and how that can be reined in.
But how do you rein it in? You can't just fire people, presumably, can you? And re-employ them on lower salaries.
It's not an easy exercise to take. And again, I fully understand the public's frustration with all this. But we have agreements, legal agreements with the unions, with the workforce. We have a responsibility to the workforce at the same time as good employers. But we have to find a way of reducing costs and reducing them quite rapidly if we're going to avoid any more problems down there. We, as you know, have spent millions over the last few years expanding the airport. I think the target was to enable 1 million passengers a year to come through. Well, we're well short on that at the moment. Plenty of capacity there. The hospitality industry, for example, as well as the business community, needs good and regular air communications to justify not just the expense we put into the airport itself, but also to keep business going. So all this is under the spotlight at the moment. Mr. Gorn's working very hard to review that. He's working in tandem with the unions, so that there is a dialogue going, and we'll just have to wait and see over the next few weeks what the outcome might be.